It was August 15, 1947, and over Karachi a new flag fluttered in the morning breeze. It was a flag of white and green with a star and crescent mounted thereon. This flag had replaced the familiar ensign of red, white and blue, which had been the symbol of British rule. The unfurling of the new flag announced the end of that rule and the inauguration of the free dominion of Pakistan. With the change of flags, there came a change of personnel also. For in this mansion, which in the past had housed many a British governor, there now came into residence the first Muslim Governor-General of Pakistan, the Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. On that mellow mid-August morning, a distinguished gathering waited for him in the courtyard of Government House. Members of the Cabinet, the Secretary General, Mr. Muhammad Ali, Mr. Ghulam Hussain Hidayatullah, the Service Chief, the Area Commander, Major General Akbar Khan, the Defense Secretary, Mr. Dundas, the Indian High Commissioner, Sri Pakasa, the Chinese representative, Mr. Yusuf Haroon, Mr. Altaf Hussain, editor of Dawn. Miss Fatima Jinnah arrived and took a seat. Then, dressed immaculately in a silk sherwani, Mr. Jinnah, escorted by his ADC, came out of the building to receive the salutation of the people he had united under this new flag. To them he had given a homeland. What was even more important, he had given them a place among the free peoples of the world. The birth of Pakistan had coincided with his taking over the Governor-Generalship of this new dominion. The swearing-in ceremony began with a recitation from the Holy Quran by Pir Ilahi Baksh. The Secretary General of the Cabinet, Mr. Muhammad Ali, then read His Majesty's commission. The oath of allegiance and office was then administered by the Chief Justice of Lahore.
Solemnly affirm true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of Pakistan as by law established.
In turn, the oath was administered to the 7 members of the Cabinet, led by Mr. Liaquat Ali Khan, the new Prime Minister. His wife looked on. Then came Mr. Chandrika, Mr. Ghulam Muhammad, Mr. Abdur Rab Nishtar, Mr. Ghazanfar Ali Khan, Mr. Mandal, followed by Mr. Fazlur Rahman. Duly sworn in, His Excellency Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah then went to the top of the steps. The flag of the new dominion was unfurled, and a new chapter began for that part of this continent which would henceforth be known as Pakistan. As he stepped down to inspect the guard of honor, no one could have been more conscious of the importance of that moment than the man who had made that moment possible. As he put it in a broadcast to his people that day, August 15th marks the fulfillment of the destiny of the Muslim nation. He was aware also of the responsibilities of that state and of its citizens, for as he said in the same broadcast, it gave them an opportunity to demonstrate to the world how a nation containing many elements can live in peace and amity and work for the betterment of all its citizens, irrespective of caste or creed. He defined the object of Pakistan as peace within and peace without. He said they wanted to live peacefully and maintain cordial, friendly relations with their immediate neighbors and with the world at large. He said that Pakistan would have no aggressive designs against anybody. So dedicated, Pakistan started out on its new adventure. Back in the courtyard, the Quaid-e-Azam received the felicitations of his closest friends and of those who were to play a part in the future of Pakistan. For his people, the dawn had come. Our minds go back 71 years ago to a Christmas day in that same city of Karachi when the Quaid-e-Azam was born. No one could have dreamt that this same child would one day play the role of founder of this new state in that same city of Karachi, even as no one could have visualized that this once barren desert would become the capital of a new dominion and the nerve center of the fifth largest state in the world. To this same city of Karachi, in August 1947, there arrived by train the advance guard of the army of architects who were to lay the foundation of this new homeland and who were to build it from scratch. These architects, workmen, technicians, poured into Karachi daily. All these incidents, this enthusiasm, this concentrated effort was a sequel to the statement of the British government on June the 3rd, 1947, when His Majesty's government announced the plan for the partition of India and for the creation of two dominions. On that occasion, speaking over the radio, Mr. Jinnah said,
We must remember that we have to take momentous decisions and handle grave issues facing us in the solution of the complex political problem of this great subcontinent inhabited by 400 million people. The world has no parallel for the most onerous critical task which we have to perform. I pray to God that this critical moment He may guide us and enable us to discharge our responsibility in a wise and statesmanlike manner.
While the rank and file of the builders of Pakistan arrived by train, its more important architects arrived by air. Among the early arrivals at the airport was Mr. Liaquat Ali Khan, the Quaid-e-Azam's second in command. Mr. Liaquat Ali Khan was to hold the important office of Prime Minister of Pakistan. The planes kept arriving, and the excitement mounted till August 7th, when the Quaid-e-Azam was to arrive in person. Many of his followers had come from near and far to see him land on this soil on which, centuries ago, another Muslim, Muhammad bin Qasim, had also landed. The arrival of Mr. Jinnah in Karachi was for his people an equal thrill. He was a man who had promised them Pakistan, and he had got it for them. Now he was with them. He had set foot on Pakistan for the first time. Their dreams had become a reality. With him was his sister, Miss Fatima Jinnah, the First Lady of Pakistan. Soon after his arrival, the Quaid-e-Azam was at work in his office, attending to the many details on which his decision and guidance were sought. For him it was not enough that Pakistan had come into being. The greater work of putting this new state on its feet had yet to be done. In attendance on him was his military secretary. At work also was Miss Fatima Jinnah. She had devoted herself to the life work of her brother. As the First Lady of Pakistan, new responsibilities fell on her, for the womanhood of Pakistan would in future look to her for help and guidance. Elsewhere in that same city, the Constituent Assembly had been inaugurated. It was now August the 10th. The representative of the scheduled classes, Mr. Mandal, was elected president, pending the election of the permanent president. Members of the Assembly presented their credentials and signed the roll. First among them was the Quaid-e-Azam, who took his place that day as an ordinary member. The next day, August 11th, Mr. Jinnah was elected the permanent president. He took the chair and he was welcomed by Mr. Liaquat Ali Khan.
It is not only that you are elected as president of this sovereign constituent assembly, but you will be having the dual capacity of not only being the head of the assembly, but also the head of the state. I am confident that you would, while discharging your onerous duty, be always guided by that intellectual honesty which you possess.
Representatives of all sections of the House, including Congress Party in the Pakistan Assembly, offered their felicitations to the new president. The president replied,
That is life and its property and the religious belief should be fully protected by the state at any cost. My guiding principle will be justice, fair play, and complete impartiality in the discharge of my duty. And I'm sure, with your support and cooperation, I'm looking forward to making Pakistan as one of the greatest nations of the world.
On the same day, the flag of Pakistan was decided upon.
Now, Mr. President, this flag, it will be noticed, is not the flag of any one political party, that this flag, which I had the honor to present to this House, this flag will be the flag of freedom, not only for the peoples of Pakistan. This flag will be an emblem of peace, to help in maintaining peace throughout the world.
2 days passed in feverish activity, till on August 13th, there arrived at Karachi the Supreme Commander, Field Marshal Auchinleck, and General Messervy. Other service chiefs also arrived by air. The climax, however, was reached with the arrival of Lord Louis Mountbatten, who on behalf of the British government was to carry out the transfer of power. With him were Lady Mountbatten and their daughter Pamela. At Government House, they were welcomed by the Quaid-e-Azam and Miss Jinnah. To Lord Mountbatten, more than to any other individual countryman of his, must go the credit for the part he played in redeeming the pledges which the British government had made. He had redeemed more than pledges. He had redeemed the good name of his country and his people. That night, there was a banquet given at Government House in honor of Lord and Lady Mountbatten. It was attended by several distinguished guests who had been invited by the Quaid-e-Azam. Later, they were presented to their excellencies. The next morning, August 14th, saw the actual transfer of power. The Quaid-e-Azam drove to the Constituent Assembly with his sister. He was followed by Lord Louis Mountbatten, who drove in state. The ceremony of transferring power began.
I have a message from His Majesty the King to deliver to you today. This is His Majesty's message. I send you my greetings and warmest wishes on this great occasion, when the new Dominion of Pakistan is about to take its place in the British Commonwealth of Nations. It is not achieving your independence by agreement. You have set an example to all freedom-loving people throughout the world. May Pakistan prosper always. May her citizens be blessed with health and happiness. May learning the art of peace flourish in her boundaries. And may she continue in friendship with her neighbors and with all the nations of the world.
Your Excellency, I thank His Majesty, the King, on behalf of the Pakistan Constituent Assembly and myself for his gracious message. I once more thank you and Lady Mountbatten for your kindness and good wishes. Yes, we are parting as friends, and I sincerely hope that we shall remain friends.
Then the great procession started, and the crowds paid their homage to the two men who had played so great a part in giving them their freedom. That evening, the Quaid-e-Azam inspected the Muslim League National Guard. On the afternoon of the 15th, the Quaid-e-Azam made his first public appearance as Governor General of Pakistan. The pomp and ceremony were now over. Freedom had come. Pakistan had been inaugurated. So, as was fitting on the occasion of the Eid, which aptly followed, the Muslims bowed their heads in prayer and offered to the Almighty the thanksgiving of a nation. In the kingdom of God, all were still equal.
I pray to God that this critical moment He may guide us and enable us to discharge our responsibility in a wise and statesmanlike manner. Once more, I most earnestly appeal to all to maintain law and order. Pakistan Zindabad.